Hey guys, Kyuranger here with another review. This time I'll be reviewing the Henshin belt and Fuestle Deluxe Kivat belt from Max Rider Kiva. This is the belt used by Kiva to transform, as well as the key items that he uses to make his various summons, as well as perform his special attack. This set includes several things: Kivat, the Kivat belt, 2 Fuestle slots, and 6 Fuestles. Now this is a bit of an older toy, and the reason why I'm reviewing it at this point, so many years later past its release, is because A, I actually didn't have this toy until just earlier this year, and B, it was requested of me by a friend and fan. So, let's get started. First off, we'll look at the Kivat belt itself. So this is really just a belt, and this is, like some of the other belts released for some riders, pretty much just a hunk of plastic that the main electronics piece attaches to. But this does have some nice detail. First off, this thing is entirely red plastic with no paint whatsoever. However, it's got nice details like these rings in the middle here. You got this roosting point, which will be a key to attaching Kivat to the belt. You got these clips on the side. Similar to a lot of belts from this era, it only clips in on one side, and this one is permanently attached. But you can see some chain detail and a little bit of molding detail on the inner piece here. You have the belt straps, which have this chain detail lined all around them. And you have a smaller, much more simple belt stopper piece than some other belts have. And then finally you've got a little bit of detail on the back of the buckle. This is of course adjustable to various sizes, all of which, or at least most of which, will really just fit kids. And there really isn't too much else to it. Next up we have the Fuestle slots and Fuestles. Now Fuestle is a combination of the words fue, which means flute in Japanese, and whistle, and they're the small whistles that activate various sounds in the Kivat belt. The interesting thing about these is that these were basically the first ever Kamen Rider gimmick item that wasn't cards. Although that being said, there weren't too many of these, so a lot of them just came with the toys, and so it isn't nearly like the collectible gimmicks that we have today. They're divided in 3 among these 2 Fuestle slots, which are these holders that have chain details on them, as you can see, and these will just clip onto the sides of the belts, right here. And we'll go over each one of them. The first one is the Wake Up Fuestle. This one, it has this red detail here, which is designed to look like the closed wings around the Hell's Gate on Kiva's right leg. And then you have these little details that resemble the inside of the Hell's Gate itself. Each one also has a design on the sides of it that gives it some representation. So for this, you've got a pair of wings that are molded onto the sides. And these use these little pegs that will press down buttons in the Kivat belt to determine what sounds they make. Second is the Doran Fuestle. You can see here. It's designed after Castle Doran itself. This one's called Brown up top. And you've got these details here which look like castle windows. Third up is the Buran Fuestle, which is designed after Buran. This one is painted in gold. And we got this symbol here, which I'm not really sure what it's supposed to look like, but it does kind of resemble a kind of mouthless face with a pair of eyes. Then we get to the other side, which has the Fuestles for the armed monsters. So first is the Garulu Fuestle. You can see the werewolf design here with the metallic blue. You got crescent moon design on the sides. After that you have the Basha Fuestle with the swamp creature design here and metallic green paint. You got a pair of gills for the side design. And then for the last of them we have the Doga Fuestle with a Frankenstein's monster design. Got purple here for the top of the head, little face there, and then a lightning bolt design on the sides. These simply, like I said earlier, clip onto the sides of the belts. And next we come to the main part of the belt, which is Kivat the Third, Master Rider Kiva's partner, that is also the buckle to his belt. So this is an interesting concept, just for the fact that this is a living creature that's used for a rider belt. You can see that he's got a lot of nice details to him. So first off, you'll notice all the very nice gold paint on him, as well as some nice silver and a bit of green. You got some cool patterns on the inside of his ears and wings, as well as a little texture to give him a leathery look, similar to actual bat wings. You got his eyes, which have this very interesting pattern to them, which will affect the way the lights look. You've got the speaker here on his forehead, which is a very good choice, as it makes all the sound be projected forward. You got this bun on top, which when pressed down will open up his mouth. Where you can see a little tongue molded in. Now, one thing about this is that new Kivat belts will actually have a little sticker in here to indicate how you put in the Fuestles, but you should actually remove that sticker to reveal the entire tongue. And additionally, you can fold out the wings like this to get a continuous pattern and have him with this spread wing look. You can see some bit more detail on the back, as well as the battery compartment. Takes 2 AAA batteries. Got the power switch on the side. And one thing you might notice is one of the unfortunate things about this design is that there really isn't a good way to display him standing up, because his feet are this far back to attach to the belt that he either falls forward or falls backwards. So without further ado, let's get to turning him on. Now when you switch him on, he will be in one of 2 different modes, which will basically determine his mood. If he says that phrase with the blue and green lights, that's his bad mood. And if he says that phrase with the red and purple lights, then it's his good mood. So, when you press down the button, he'll open his mouth and he'll say bite in Japanese. And if you open his mouth 3 times in a row, he'll give you a random phrase. Now, one of the cool things about this is that he can actually be puppeted. So if you activate a phrase, it actually won't be overridden if you open up the mouth more with the button. And that is actually a pretty fun little feature, because he is supposed to be a talking belt. So it makes more sense to have his mouth moving when he's supposed to be talking. Now we'll switch over to the other mode. And one thing to note is that it doesn't actually alternate, it is just random, and I'm just getting lucky here. So let's get some of the phrases here. Next, we'll activate the transmission with the Kivat belt. One thing you'll notice there is that there is actually a strobe light to the eyes that let you know when the toy is on, which is actually a pretty rare feature these days. So, for the transformation, first open his mouth, where you'll see 2 little fangs in here. You want to press them against your hand so he bites you. Then place them on the roost, upside down, and let them fall into place. And there we have the transmission into Master Rider Kiva. Now to undo that, there's a little clip here where you just pull up, now that you undo him from the belt. Interestingly, there's one on the other side, but there's no clip for it. Also, if you just have him fall in place, it'll activate the transformation without the standby. Next we have the Fuestle activation. So, for that, you want to pull open the mouth until it clips into place up like that. You've got to take your Fuestle, fit into these two grooves so that it lines up with this arrow here, as well as this line here. And pull it down and press on his lower jaw.
Wake up!
So that was the Wake Up Fuestle activating his Darkness Moon break. Do that one more time.
Wake up!
Next is the Doran Fuestle. And that's for summoning Castle Doran. And the interesting thing there is that it uses a white light for the summoning sound, even though there actually is an orange light parent into the toy, which is definitely closer to the brown color here. Next is the Buran Fuestle. That summons the Buran Booster. Then the Garulu Fuestle. This summons the Garulu Saber and transforms Kiva into Garulu form. And if we open up the mouth and press the fangs, that activates Garulu Bite for a special attack. Next, the Basha Fuestle. Which summons the Basha Magnum and transforms him into Basha form. Then we have the Doga Fuestle, which summons the Doga Hammer and transforms him into Doga form. Additionally, these sounds actually have alternate voices for them when in his bad mood, so we'll just try to switch it to that. Alright, and then we'll do them one more time.
Wake up! Wake up!
Also, he will occasionally say the opposite version of whichever mood he's in. And finally, there's cross-compatibility between the Kivat belt and the Ixa belt, which is something I reviewed years ago. So, basically the thing is that all Fuestles are compatible with anything that reads them, so we can use the unique Fuestles from each on the other one. We'll start off by using the unique Ixa Fuestles on the Kivat belt, and these will make the same sounds no matter which mode you're in. That was the Caliber Fuestle, then the Knuckle Fuestle, and then the Powered Fuestle. Then we can come over to the Ixa belt and use the unique Fuestles from this one. So, we got the Wake Up Fuestle, Doron Fuestle, and Buron Fuestle. And there we go. So overall, despite its age, the Kivat belt actually holds up really well. Despite being, kind of gimmick-based, it still feels pretty self-contained and something that is very satisfying for what you get, because since the Fuestles are really just small painted pieces of plastic, they're able to include 6 with the belt, so you get a good variety of sounds right out of the box, with a few others to collect here and there, but overall not too many. The interesting thing about this is that with a lot of belts these days, there's kind of become a subculture of hacking them or trying to find what sounds are in them before the toys released for those sounds are revealed. And this is actually what I can definitely say is probably the easiest one to hack, because with this one you really just have these 4 buttons inside of the mouth, which just activate when depressed when this is attached to the belt. So it's actually really easy to just press down whatever buttons you want and get the sounds for it. For example, that was the sound for the Totsalot Fuestle, which summoned Totsalot, which was his power-up item. But the cool thing about this is that despite how easily hacked it is, it doesn't really reveal anything compromising, because they actually managed to make it so that they smartly made it so that for the Fuestles exclusive to the Ixa belt, they don't really give you any kind of indication as to what they're supposed to be used for, and for the stuff that is for other things like the Totsalot Fuestle, which summons his power-up, they wisely chose to actually put the kind of voices and power-up sounds into a separate toy, so it really didn't spoil anything before it was supposed to be released, and that is not something you can say these days with a lot of toys that have all the sounds programmed in. That being said, there is room for improvement here. The one thing I will comment the most on is the voices. Basically, all of the phrases that he says, the random phrases, aren't things you hear in the show, and for his announcements, they do sound a lot different than what you heard in the series, and I think that was probably because they were recorded prior to the voice actor recording lines for the show, so they do sound quite a bit different, and it's for reasons like these, and also for reasons like the belt not being entirely accurate, that this is something that I would like to see get a complete selection modification version of, but if you just get the deluxe version, it still is a very satisfying toy that, like I said, has a lot you can do right out of the box. So if you're a fan of Master Rider Kiva, I definitely recommend trying to pick this up. Next time, as a follow-up to this, I'll be reviewing the Garulu Saber and re-reviewing the Basha Magnum and Doga Hammer all together in one video. And that'll be coming tomorrow at 7 p.m. PST. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe, and hit the bell icon. And for now, this is KRX50, riding off.